sitting in the funeral procession. Hello. Can I move up? Yeah, so I'm a bit short, so I'm having to kind of go on my tiptoes to reach the microphone. My name is Megan McCubbin, and I'm a zoologist and wildlife TV presenter and campaigner. And I remember coming to one of my first protests or events like this. And at that period in time, I was at a meeting, I was working in Lush, and we had a discussion about how to tackle illegal wildlife crime. And I came out of that meeting louder. Is that any better? Okay, I'm going to shout. I'm really sorry, everyone who's closer. And I remember being paralysed, stood in the middle of this action, feeling, honestly, pretty emotional, because I'd never seen anything like it, because it was everything that the mainstream media said it wasn't. The mainstream media often talks about these kinds of actions as disruptive, annoying, a nuisance.
Before I get started, I'd just like to say thank you. Thank you to the public for showing respect for our revenants. Much appreciated. Thank you very much. Was ours protest today, or was it beautiful performance art? A mix of both, I feel, because we're here to communicate something very solemn. Ours has been a faux funeral for nature. Now, not all of you will have your finger on the pulse of the natural world in the way that Megan and I do, and perhaps many of you do too. But I don't need to tell you, because you watch the TV and you look at social media, that our nature is in a desperate situation. We've presided over in our lifetimes catastrophic declines, to the extent that, as Megan says, we live in one of the most nature-depleted set of nations on the planet. We, an alleged nation of animal lovers, live in one of the most nature-depleted places in the world. One of the things that motivates me to join Extinction Rebellion, the Red Rebels, and all of the other artists and protesters today is tragically guilt. I was inspired by ladybirds and tadpoles in a tiny back garden in Southampton in 1963. I never thought that in my lifetime I would need to campaign to protect the very simple things among us. But those simple things have begun to disappear. And I think we have to be careful with our language. We mustn't say that we've lost them. If we use the word lost, it appears that we've inadvertently misplaced them. Let's be clear. We've destroyed them, and we've destroyed their habitats. Now, you don't have to close your eyes, but you might want to, because I'm going to ask you to think. When was the last time you saw a hedgehog?
Yesterday.
When was the last time you crept out of your house with a torch, knelt on the ground, looked at its grizzled snout and the sparkle in its eye? When was the last time you turned the radio down in bed to listen to the twittering of house sparrows or house martins under your eaves? When was the last time you saw a small copper butterfly? Did you kneel down and creep up to it to admire that beautiful, burnished, metallic sheen on its wings? When was the last time you smelled an English dog? Because maybe those things have just slipped away. Maybe they're no longer part of your life because they're no longer part of our communities. And there is the tragedy. That's the tragedy that's brought us in black to the streets of Bath this afternoon. And our mission here is to strike fear into our own hearts. Do we really want to preside over a real funeral for nature? Now, as a pragmatic biologist, I can tell you that whatever we do to this planet, life will continue to prosper. We've had mass extinction events in the past. Many of you will know, of course, that 65 million years ago, a relatively large asteroid crashed into the planet and put an end to the dinosaurs, and they were in trouble anyway. And if that hadn't happened, we wouldn't be here. Mammals would never have got their chance. So if we extinguish ourselves and we extinguish most of other life on this planet, it will bounce back, and it will be just as diverse and perhaps even more beautiful than the life that we've had. But there's a difference, isn't there? The fact that we can make a difference. We can make a difference. Notice the word that I'm using as the prefix. We can make a difference. They haven't made a difference. We cannot rely upon them, whoever they or them are. That's why we're here, because we've had that portfolio of means, but we've not rolled them out broadly enough, and we've not rolled them out rapidly enough. It's down to us to make that difference. And every single one of you has the capacity to empower yourself to do so. There's no point in sitting back and thinking, I can't do anything, the problem's too big, I'm just a drop in the ocean. But what is an ocean but a multitude of drops? And what can bring you more pleasure than you taking some small step and seeing a positive result? That brings us joy. It makes us feel good. And when we feel good, we tell our friends, our family, our colleagues. And they want to feel good too, so maybe they do the same thing. And then you're not a drop, you're a puddle. And the puddle grows into a lake which flows into that more than we've ever done, because we are fighting for our survival. And our survival depends on nature because we are part of it. This is where we really need to stand up. And I'm still using the we word. That's me, that's you. We have to stand up. Because if we sit down and wait for they and them, it's not going to happen. Look at the they and them in this country at the moment. Look at the state of our politics, the state of our schools, the state of our rivers, the state of our NHS. We've relied upon them and they've failed us. Let's take back control. Let's make that difference. So here's your simple challenge. We are one species on one planet with one big problem. This is our last one big chance to sort it out. You don't want to not try to sort it out, because if you live just long enough and you're dying slowly, a young person might come up and tap you on the knee and they might say, what did you do when you really needed to act? And if you can't look them in the eye and said, I did everything I could, that will be more than painful for you. You do not want that moment. I do not want that moment. We do not want that moment. Please, set your alarm clocks 5 minutes earlier tomorrow. Spend that 5 minutes thinking on how you can make a difference. Because it's not a case of what our wildlife can do for us at this point. It's what we need to do for our wildlife and our life. Thank you very much. And those mating butterflies. On June the 22nd, my colleagues and I are putting together a march in London. We'd like the largest number of people ever to stand up for nature. It doesn't matter who you are and what your passion is, whether you rescue hedgehogs, you're anti-fox hunting, you lead an RSPB group, or you're a volunteer at the Wildlife Trust. It doesn't matter whether you're a supporter of Extinction Rebellion or Just Stop Oil. We want everyone who shares a commonality to look after our life to come on the streets with us on June the 22nd in London. The information will be forthcoming at restorenaturenow.com. restorenaturenow.com. And we wanted to do what it says on the tin. So please put that date in your diary, and I look forward to seeing you, to some of you, in London on that day. Thank you very much.
That's